Hush. And we are live, everybody.
Whoa.
Damn.
Wow, here we are. Welcome to episode
Hi.
141. We have been having some very existential discussions today. We won't get into those. We were literally just talking about some pretty existential heavy stuff, and we're going to talk about influencers today. I'm Dan Nadelko. Welcome to episode 141 of Live at the Hive, and I'm joined by
Producer Matt. No, I'm joking. I'm Stacey DeSantis, content marketing manager here at the Hive.
Hi, I'm Miguel. I am digital marketing intern here at the Hive.
I think we need to graduate you at some very point in the near future from intern. I think that's so I think that's time. So yes, so producer Matt grew a lot of hair, got some glasses, and she's on vacation next week too, aren't you, Stacey?
That's right. Going to Prince Edward County. There's gonna be a lot of wine drinking, book reading, beach going,
tree hugging.
Oh yeah,
trees. Yeah.
Actually, I'm staying at this place called the Owl's Nest up near Picton, and they're actually made out of hay straw bale huts.
Cause why not? Okay.
Because why not?
Because you would build a hut out of something that's very like hay. Okay.
And it's in a lavender like forest. It's totally my jam.
Okay. Very cool.
I think it'll be good.
It's going to be great. Prince Edward County is beautiful, and it looks like you're going to, at least for half of the weekend, I think you're going to have a great weekend.
Yeah. I mean,
I think there's some rain coming, but who knows, right?
It just gives me a reason to be lazy. Whenever it's raining, I love it because it gives me a chance to put my feet up. So I'm good.
So we've got, so just to, I'm going to highlight Yvonne. Existential crises. Yes, we know all about it. Yes, that is the comment of the day.
Yeah.
I won't point out some of. I very much enjoy dry, sarcastic senses of humor, and Yvonne's Facebook is often a source of much amusement to me. All right, we'll let that one go. So, Yvonne, Matei, April, Chad. Welcome. Stacey's hair is beautiful.
Really?
I don't know what beautiful means, but okay.
It's feeling a little COVID crisis.
It's a little COVID-y, but let it go. All right. So we're all very distracted today. It's the beginning of a long weekend. Stacey's going on vacation. Lots of stuff going on. Today, what we're going to talk about is the importance of brands and influencers and businesses kind of joining forces together. But first, one of the things we kind of introduced this last week, and I think it was entertaining, is things I love this week that I found on the internet, often related to marketing, possibly video games and other things like that. So the first one, I'm just going to kind of rifle through these, and I know I didn't prep anyone on the content team for this because I just, it just is what it is.
I've trained them well. It should be fine.
Yeah. So don't panic, Chad. There's no links for you right now. I didn't give them to you. I literally pulled this up in the middle of our conversation, but one of the best ones was from Dominoes Pizza. I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with the Halo video game franchise, but yeah. So Halo Infinite is a long time coming. Xbox Series X is the next generation console for Microsoft, very much touted. And the Microsoft released a live stream. Pardon me. And the graphics look something like this, which is very much a 2010. It's really not very high quality graphics for what you're expecting from most, probably an $800 or $900 console next generation. So, oops. Domino's Pizza being Domino's Pizza and a brilliance of strategy, current gen versus next gen. Don't worry, Chief. Domino's always delivers. Great way to jump into something trending that's very much top of mind and happening. And it looks like they put it together pretty quickly, but thought that was a really great use of Twitter to engage with the community.
There's the Xbox fandom probably is right now. He's thinking like, I can still support Pepe's, Little Caesars.
I'm sure. You know what the brilliant thing about stuff like this, although it seems really stupid, right? And it's funny. Like, number one, it just makes you laugh. Number two, they're not griefing on Microsoft. It's not like they're doing it in a lighthearted way, and it's very clever. I mean,
it's like a shared experience. It's like we know, but it's like, hey, let's just learn to laugh at yourself
and have fun with it. And the graphic is brilliant. Like, this is just a brilliant piece of work.
And they know their audience, right? Like,
I literally thought it was an Android read though. When we pulled it up, I was like,
I was like, sure. I don't get it.
But now you get it. I mean, you can look at this picture and I think you get it, right? It's like, this is what it looked like, and it should look like this. Yeah. Anyways, we've probably spent way too long on it, but I thought this was absolutely brilliant. It's not marketing drama, but I think it's brilliance in terms of one tweet. I would be really interested to know if there was ever a correlation between this tweet and Domino's Pizza UK sales on that day. That would be awesome to see how those two things match up, right?
I wonder.
Yeah. So anyways, moving right along, another one. Oops. Geez, my tabs are out of control. Another one from Kevin Indig, who is an absolutely fantastic SEO. Again, I think I spoke about him last week. This is a really big one in the world of SEO. The end of crawling and the beginning of API indexing. And Kevin did a really good job here with this visual here. It's a long article. I suggest you read it if you're in the space of marketing. But typically what would happen is the crawler from Google would come out to a site, right? And try to crawl the entire site. That's very, like, from a dollar perspective for Google, that's very expensive. It costs a lot of money in terms of data and like data warehousing and things like that. Mm-hmm. So what they introduced was an indexing API, which is called an application programmer's interface, for you to be able to actually tell Google, instead of Google crawling and like a sitemap is crawled by the crawler, the indexing API allows you as a website owner to be able to tell Google, and Bing also introduced theirs, that you have a site update. I've worked on several projects in the last month and a half. We've implemented the indexing API, and I can guarantee everybody that when you use this indexing API, your pages are indexed within seconds. That's like awesome. Seconds. Yeah. Like, it's shocking how fast it is. So something to definitely think about. And I thought it was a very, very cool article. And another one is from Hallam Internet. UX and SEO, the experience is the fourth pillar of SEO. We'll drop all of these links down there. I'm not even going to get into this, but it's a great look. And we've talked a lot about this when people say, well, we've got to make content for the search engine, right? That's a very false statement, right? There's someone on the other end of the search engine. You're actually writing for that person. And this also talks about user experience metrics being ranking factors in the Google search engine. Lastly, and this one is awesome. This is a thread reader app. I'll put it into the comments since I'm just going rogue today. There we go.
You're one wild, crazy guy.
I mean, this is it, man. I'm out of control, aren't I? A company called Oatley. Been around for 20 years as a Swedish company fighting for attention. An oat milk company raised $20 million at a $2 billion valuation, a lesson on creativity. And I just want to show this. I think this is amazing. I love this one. And for those of you that don't know, Thread Reader app is an app that allows you to say unroll a thread on Twitter at Thread Reader app, and it will create this type of a page for you, right? So you can share it easily. This is amazing. 90% of all companies scared shitless, somewhere between evil and good, right? This is where we live, like most of them. Oatley, fucking fearless. Monsanto, fearless and good. Monsanto, fearless and evil. Very true. So what they did was, and I thought this was great. This was what they had before.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, the chocolate flavor, probably the ugliest brand in history. That's awful. There's so many things wrong with. It looks like a horror movie for one. and probably other things. And what they did was they removed the creative team from the bureaucratic process of marketing and business development and said, like, we're not going to abide by those rules. And they did the wow, no cow. You can see that. They did it all hand drawn. Nice. Incredibly effective. Writing notes to the Prime Minister in the UK on their packaging. So being fearless, saying, hey,
the cult.
Yep. Yeah, the cult, a message from the cult, a message from the Oatley Department of Mind Control, right? Like some of these messages, it's like milk, but made for humans. What ended up happening, and again, I'm sucking the oxygen out of the schedule we have, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
In the end, what happened is the UK dairy lobby sued them, and they won. Like the UK dairy lobby won. What happened was Oatley. Usually, what happens in these cases is companies kind of come to an agreement behind closed doors, right? And they say, okay, we're sorry, and we'll stop doing this, and you know, that's it. Well, Oatley went the other way and said, no, you know what? We're taking the whole lawsuit published against us, and we're publishing it online. We're running full page ads, and we're going to fight this lawsuit. They lost, they accepted it, they paid their fine, and they continued even more aggressively. It's like milk, but made for humans. What ended up happening was their sales skyrocketed, like through the roof. I'm sure that they got media, like tons of media attention. This was in Sweden and the UK, right? So it's not in our North American lens, as it were. And then they this TV campaign, their CEO Tony Peterson sings "Wow, no cow" repeatedly while playing a keyboard in the middle of a field.
This is awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's this Thread Reader app is like just read this whole thread. Yeah. And it's a really great example of marketing without hesitation, right? Like removing that fear factor that you might offend somebody. And it's served them, like their sales have enormously skyrocketed, and it goes into great detail. Like, I think it's really good.
That's how you're going to stand out, right? Like if you're always playing in the box.
Especially if we're talking about influencer marketing today too. Like that was like a perfect example. It's like you don't have to be like a micromanager around your brand. It's like obviously don't go out there trying to be like super offensive, but like that was edgy. And like people like that. People want to see brands who are like, yeah, let me stick out for maybe the wrong reasons to your parents, but for you, like, let's be real.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean for sure. Like at the end of the day, it's you know, Oatley is I want to say it's a almond milk.
It's oat milk, I think.
Oh, okay.
Like the whole idea of like milk not being for humans, like immediately, it was like vegans.
Well, for sure, and I mean, you know, realistically, and this is actually true. You know, from our time working in the keto supplement space, the whole idea that milk is healthy for you was actually built up in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s with the food pyramid, right? That food pyramid of carbohydrates and breads, right, and all of those things, and milk and dairy, resoundingly agreed upon in the scientific community as a complete scam. Like that was just that was corporate. That was corporate trying to sell their product, right? They want to sell bread and they want to sell milk. It's healthy. Let's get Health Canada and all those other people into it. But at the end of the day, I think the typically those things right? Vegans have this like beta, you know, hipster kind of thing associated with them. And they kind of went the other direction and said, no, it's not, like, right? It doesn't need to be this like, you know, tree hugging vegan kind of thing. We're going to take a different take on this altogether. And the most important thing, and just to wrap this up, because I don't want to take up all of the live on this, is when marketing is not just from the marketing department. Right? It goes right, if it goes right through the organization from top to bottom and right to the CEO sitting in a field singing wow, no cow with a keyboard is, you know, there's a belief statement there that the entire company is bought in. It's really what they believe. And I think especially with coronavirus, I think that's, people are sick and tired of you know, shallow marketing campaigns that really aren't genuine. So,
but the performative marketing.
Yes.
Sidebar.
Sidebar.
I make a really great oat milk. So I'm going to share that recipe.
Stacey, does it have patchouli in it?
No, it has vanilla.
Turmeric?
That I make vanilla extract.
Turmeric?
Yes, it does.
Okay, of course it has turmeric. I do remember one day in the office, this was before we were shut down. You made some kind of tea, and like the cup itself, like a day later, looked like a science experiment. I didn't know what was going on with it, but I was like, I think it tried to grab my arm when I picked up the cup. Yeah.
April, you liked it. Put that in the comments.
Yvonne, you know what? I would do this. Yes. I would slather myself in honey.
What?
And stand in like around a beehive and just let them come to me. Would that be okay? Get stung. Okay, we're getting a little out of hand here.
Miguel's like, what did I enter into?
Daniel's disappeared. Where'd he go?
I don't know, but we can continue on.
There we are.
There he is.
I'm glad that came back, because Chrome just like crashed, like this tab.
Oh no,
just crashed. So I'm gonna try to leave this alone as much as I can. Let's see. Okay, I can't seem. Okay, hold on. Almost got it. I feel very much like I'm on shaky ground here with this StreamYard right now. All right. Anyways, beyond all of that, that's a good segue from that Oatley conversation about being genuine to talking about how brands and companies, and I mean, I think when we say brands, I think a lot of companies, especially small businesses, take themselves outside of that. When we say brands, we mean companies of any size, like literally. The power of influencers and symbiotic relationships between companies and influencers. And Stacey, I know that you do a lot of this in your day-to-day, and maybe you can just give everybody a little bit of a high-level overview of the difference between advertising and working with an influencer. And you know, and Miguel, I know you've got some insight there too.
So a lot of the work that I do is with social, and our objective is basically to try to move away from vanity metrics such as like likes and such, and really work together with influencers to add some authenticity and create a sense of partnership with a local influencer. And there's a lot of value in this because they have already tapped into their network. Right. So they've already got a network of followers. So by creating a mutual beneficial relationship between your company and an influencer, you can, you know, it's like Wonder Twins activate, right? You can become even stronger because most likely if they're in your space, they've heard of you and they want to work with you. So by you partnering with them, you can't only just tap into their network, but they can learn more about your product and maybe even advocate for you further than what they're already doing, right?
100%. And I think it's also important to understand influencers, we talked about this on the live before, is that everybody with the power of social media is an influencer of some sort. Like I influence my one friend that I've got, my family, right? Kim Kardashian influences millions of people, right? Kylie Jenner influences millions of people. But there are influencers at every level of scale, local influencers that have an impact in your community, right? Like
I often think of an influencer as basically a brand advocate, but it's had a Red Bull, basically. You know what I mean? It's just up a level, because that's the gold star for any company, is to ultimately develop brand advocates. Brand advocates being people that not only give you a great review, maybe they even advocate for you on your social accounts. I've had many accounts where we've had customers that have stepped in before we've had an opportunity to even do community management, and that we would consider them a brand advocate, because they know our product, they're standing behind it, and they're jumping in to advocate or like speak on your behalf. So it doesn't have to be Kim Kardashian,
I think the other thing, so Miguel, you had some points about working with local influencers and collaborations, right?
Yeah. So my background mostly comes from PR, and that's one of the things that, at least personally, when I think of strategy, is like the first thing if you're trying to connect within the community is find out who are they listening to, who they value for their opinion, and how can you guys work together, not just to like advocate for your brand and market you, but to like really make an impact and make a connection with the community. And I really think, especially as you said in your like earlier, how when smaller businesses like kind of root themselves out, I'm like, I think you're in a much better position to find yourself a local influencer and like really make an impact versus a bigger one. Cause like the bigger ones, we already know of them. They have us all the touch points, but you like a couple of organizations come together and make a big splash that is newsworthy for a reason, because people like see these, like find out these organizations are in the community and see how they are directly impacted by, be it charity, an event, fundraiser. There's a direct impact, and like it's less of I'm talking to a brand and more of I'm talking to people who own their businesses within my community.
Right, for sure. And look, at the end of the day, and I like this because I feel like we've got a bunch of articles, and Chad, maybe you can just start sharing some of them. Those articles are very useful. There's lots of good resources in there, but I think from a higher level discussion of marketing and you know, whether you have a business or you're a marketer or, you know, whatever, you know, you work at a Fortune 500 or you're a one person digital marketing freelancer. I think these high level tips on what we're talking about come from our real experiences, and whatever your size, you can implement these things. Here's a couple of tips. Tip number one is find influencers that are similarly sized to you. Don't try to get Kylie Jenner for your local, you know, bath and beauty shop. It doesn't make sense. There's too much of a differential there.
And I can just mention this too. Even if you are a bigger brand, I wouldn't even recommend going after that, because 9 times out of 10, people are going to see Kylie Jenner before they even look at your product.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's going to make the news, not your product.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure. And I mean, yeah, like the larger influencers end up making their own brands themselves anyways, right?
Exactly.
The second one is, when you deal with influencers, understand that influencers have different metrics. It's not like an advertising buy, right? It's not like a media buy, right? Oftentimes over the years working with influencers want to work with companies they like and people they like. So, I mean, I've personally contacted influencers and said, look, we don't have much of a budget, but what do you think about this? What do you think about our product? What do you think? How would you put it? Instead of saying, here's your script and here's what you're going to say and here's how you're going to say it. That one thing alone, I've dealt with influencers that charge hundreds of thousands of dollars. And because we said, You say what you want. You tell us what's the script you want to use.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I would say that influencers have already developed credibility with their followers.
That's right.
So they're going to lose all plausibility if they're coming in there going, buy this chapstick, right? They have to really truly be behind what you're doing. But you also, as a company, have to be open to their recommendations and suggestions because they know what they're doing. Right?
Exactly. And it would be like, okay, so if you're not familiar with Ninja, I don't know what rock you're sleeping under, but he's one of the wealthiest video game streamers in the world. Ninja would never do something like, I'm Ninja, and I highly recommend the Logitech F310. This is one of the worst controllers in the world. It's cheap. It's okay. It's good for like fun games. But the point is, I guess, is exactly what you're saying, right, Stacey? Which is they won't take a deal with a brand that they don't believe in. Like they just don't want to take the money. It's not like they're and I think a lot of businesses treat influencer relationships like media buys.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's like probably the most dangerous part with that. It's like if you treat them like the sock puppet, they're gonna come off like the sock puppet. Like if you let them like I watch a lot of YouTube, and I think that's where I actually started to kind of open up into this idea that influencers actually work, was because my YouTubers, when they were given the reins to advertise to me, it's goofy, it's wacky, it may not be like exactly like the content you may have written that, but like that's why people will trust that.
Yeah,
because like it's coming from your mouth, your jokes. I know you're backing it for a reason.
Yeah, and totally. And I think the third thing to understand about influencers, and I feel like a lot of companies do this, is they look to influencers for a conversion ratio. Like, oh, okay, so if Joe Rogan says people go buy this thing on his podcast, people go buy the thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's at one scale, right? I think most effectively what brands and influencers working together is if you develop this relationship. And again, like I say, you could have a very small business and have someone like locally in Kitchener-Waterloo, for example, Alex Kinsella is a really well-known communicator. He works at Communitech. He promotes local businesses, and he knows, he's very well connected. He's an influencer. Now, if you went to Toronto, nobody would know who he is, and that doesn't matter. So when we say there are influencers for every level of a business, and I think that's the first mental hurdle for people to get over.
Sure.
Don't just go for the Jenners just because you know them. Like your audience has their own Jenner. You have to actually do the research.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that statement. Like find your own Jenner.
Yeah.
Actually,
find your own Jenner.
I feel like that needs to be a t-shirt.
Oh my God.
That would sell. Totally fair use too.
Copyright.
Totally. It's 100% fair use. Yeah. So, in terms of developing an influencer relationship, the fourth thing, and I think the final thing is, and I've seen this happen a lot, is it's very much treated as a campaign, right? And I think a relationship is a much stronger way to approach it with influencers, is to develop an influencer program where you don't just have one, you have several.
Yeah.
And you kind of create this program that really helps you, and then make your customers your influencers, right?
Yeah.
And that's
like I think too, there's so many different ways you can use an influencer, but actually inviting them to almost partner with you in your content development idea. So you look beyond the campaign, like what Dan was saying, and everything from podcasts to contests to even having them be ambassadors at events. Let's say your brand is having I don't know, a new store opening or something, and you bring that influencer there and they take photos, and they maybe interview some people, and you shoot that content and you put it on YouTube. Like the list goes on and on and on and on how you can use influencers effectively and not just a one-trick pony.
100%. So we've got a few articles we kind of wanted to. We got a few minutes left here on the live, and we're probably not going to go too far over since most of the world is probably sitting on a patio right now having a.
Stacey's going on vacation.
10 days.
Yeah, as much as I you know what, Live at the Hive is actually something I really do look forward to every week. It's a really fun thing to do. I think the strategic mistake was, Fridays at 4:15, which means you're never kicking off at like noon.
It's true. I'm okay with it though. I got too much work to do.
Yeah, I'm okay with it too. All right. So the first article, I think, why is influencer marketing such a big deal right now? I think that was Miguel. Was that yours or no?
Yeah. So I do like this one. I have to preface it right now. It's a little, I wouldn't say in the words they say it, but I think it just sums up the idea that, that one right there.
Yeah. Influencer real, ads are contrived. Yeah.
It's a spicy take, but I think that's one of the things I really hold true to when I think about influencer marketing is that, I can write a billion posts in the most relaxed tone. Mm-hmm. It still won't do diddly because people, as much as we want to say there's a brand persona, people want to know who we're talking to. And you could pull a flow from Allstate or what was it, Progressive, and make up.
Oh yeah.
But I think with just how personal social media and the internet has gotten, it's getting kind of weird. Mm-hmm. So I think the best thing you could do, the best pivot is find people, as we said, find your gender.
Yep.
And then make that connection. And to me, that's
absolutely
just kicks it off perfectly. And that's why small businesses too. It's don't think of it like that. Don't think of it as a brand deal. You're kind of making a mascot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have to say, one of the things I love this global web index survey. 47% of consumers use ad blockers because ads are irrelevant and annoying. And you know what? A lot of them are. I can't, if I see another car commercial with this car driving through some windy mountain in California at sunset, what? That's not my life.
Man between 35 and 45 who likes cars.
It's ridiculous, right? This reminds me of an anecdote that I want to make about one of the most successful YouTube pre-roll ads I've ever ran in my entire career was actually with Inch Backyard Media, which is now also the What If channel, which is they still create these underknown, very interesting stories about things you haven't heard of in mainstream media, but there's these amazing stories that happen, like the world's largest marine evacuation happened during 9/11 because Manhattan was shut down. Millions of boats from canoes, it's true, canoes to dinghies to yachts to ferries moved millions of people off of Manhattan Island in the largest marine evacuation in history. Just an example, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody knows that. You think World War II, you think, right? All these different things. And it's not, it was 9/11. Mm. Anyhow, we did a pre-roll YouTube ad of one of these types of videos. And we had 98.1% of all views had a 100% watch time.
Wow, that's amazing.
That 4 seconds, before the actual video. What ended up happening was our paid advertising got more views than the actual video because the video was so interesting. People were like, "What? Wait, what?" I usually see toothpaste or a car commercial. And I think that's an important thing is with influencers, they're media companies. They get it. They understand their audience. They understand what is great content. And you can do the same thing because this is an amazing stat. 47% is a huge number. I don't know what the 53% think commercials are awesome, but
no, there's no bad luck yet.
All right. Okay. So that's a great one. So let's just cover a couple really quickly. Actually, you know what? It's a long weekend. We'll throw up all of the links into the descriptions and into the comments on every platform, including on the podcast and on the blog post. But I think everybody needs to have a nice long weekend.
Wow.
I'm just cutting it off like that, right?
I know.
Why not?
Deep
Why not?
That's all right.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for joining Live at the Hive, episode 141, The Power of Brand Influencers. I think I just mangled the title. Everybody have a safe and happy long weekend. Get rested up. And we will see you next Friday for episode 142. Maybe Matt will show up this time. I mean, like, whatever.
I mean, it's not going to be me. I'm on vacation.
Oh.
Third time.
You know what? I think I've missed in
I know you never take any
3 years, almost 3 years. I think I've missed 2 or 3, possibly 4. 4 if you include the time that the power went out. We actually didn't have. That's the
I remember
the missing episode. That's the lost episode.
The lost episodes.
It was there's one lost episode.
Jumanji
We skipped a number. Someday in the annals of Live at the Hive, they'll be like, wait a second. And it was like, you guys did 97, then 99. Where did 98 go? 98 doesn't exist. Like it doesn't, it's just not there. So no, I've outed it. So
nice.
All right, folks. Well, thanks again. Everybody have a safe long weekend. Enjoy yourself, and we will see you next week.